Hey, what's up, guys? I wanted to start doing a series. I'm going to start coming on here a little bit more often so I can start talking about what I love most, which has to do everything with finances, trying to get people in a better position um, than where they're currently at. Right. So the reason why I wanted to start doing this is I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys all that I can to make sure that you guys are able to benefit from the information that I'm going to talk about. So the first thing I'm going to start talking about is a budget, because most people who come to me for credit have an issue with the budget. They don't have a budget put in place, and the purpose of this video is to explain to you guys how important it is to actually have a budget, put that budget into place, and make sure you're working that budget right. Um, I know. So I've been kind of like on a journey, right? About 10 years ago, when I hit 40, right? Um, I was like, if I want things to change, I got to make a change, right? Now, I'm dealing with clients every single day, and I see what their struggle is. I have the same type of struggles that you guys go through. I think everybody does, right? But I made it a point about 10 years ago to say, you know what, enough is enough. Now I'm going to start implementing and practicing what I preach. So I put together a budget. I started working my budget, but at the time I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. I just said, hey, I'm going to do a debt snowball. I'm going to list all my debts in order, and I'm going to start paying them off with a least balance first. And as I start paying that off, I'll take those monies and I'll start implementing them towards that next debt, and so on and so on. Right. And the first thing I tackled was my student loans. So I had student loans. I graduated as a mechanic back in 1996, February 1996. And I knew at that point, um, well, about 2000 is when I found out that I no longer want to be a mechanic. I was a mechanic for a few years, just didn't like it. I don't like getting dirty, right? I don't know about you guys, but me myself, it just wasn't for me. I come home smelling like oil. I remember the first day that I started as a mechanic. Um, I didn't know about gloves and all that, right? And I didn't actually put gloves on because I didn't know where to buy them from. And then, like, I think the second or third day that I was there, one of the tool trucks came by and they sold gloves. So I bought gloves, and ever since that point, as a mechanic, I wore gloves. But those first few days, right here, where I had to get down to put these cars on the bay to lift them up. I pull them into the bay and lift them up on the lift, and right here, both hands, I'd have a bunch of oil, and it took a while. It was only like a couple days, but it probably took about a month for all that oil to get out of the skin. Right, so I knew at that point, around 2000, I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I don't want to be a mechanic no more. I sold all my stuff, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go in a different direction, right? Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I got into a job doing customer service, and it was cool. I was in an office setting, so that was something that was different for me, right? I liked it. It was cool. But then the company closed, right? So I didn't really know what to do. I got into a collections job, right? And when I got into the collections job, I kind of learned some things. Probably a few weeks into my collections job, my sister gave me a booklet on how to, it was like a little pamphlet, like 50, 60 pages about how credit repair works. And that's when I started my journey, right? And I say all that to kind of bring it all back. People have bad credit because they don't have a budget put in place. So I want you guys to start putting a budget in place. Know how much money you guys have at the end of the month, so that way you know exactly where you're going, right? Do you have enough money at the end of the month, or do you run out of money before the month ends, right? So put together a budget. It's very important to put the budget together and follow the budget, right? Do what's called a zero balance budget sheet, right? Meaning you take all your money and all that money that you make for the month, and you assign a dollar to it, right? Whether it's for rent, your car payment, insurance, food, utilities and things like that, gas, insurance, all this stuff. You got to make sure that you're accounting for it. Because when I talk to a lot of people and I ask them, do you have a budget put in place? I've to this day probably had maybe 2 or 3 people who actually had a budget in place and knew what their budget was, right? If you ask me, do I have a budget in place? I do have a budget in place, but I use a software, so I'm kind of cheating. But my software gets me further ahead than a regular budget. Um, so I wanted to make this video, one, to let you guys know that I'm back. I'm going to start doing these videos to try to help encourage you guys to start working in a manner that's going to position your guys' selves in a way that you're much better off in the future rather than you are today, right? So I want you to have a budget put into place, and then I want you to write out some goals, right? So we have just a few more days of 2025. We're rolling into 2026. What do you guys want to happen, right? So not only do I want you to put a budget together, but I want you to write down some goals. Make sure that they're realistic, right? Make sure that they're specific. We want to make sure they're measurable and attainable, right? But do a short-term, a mid-term, and a long-term goal, right? What does that goal look like? A lot of times people, they come to me for credit repair and they want to buy a house or they want to buy a car. What does that look like? And we'll talk about these things. I want you guys to start engaging with me, right? If you guys have something that you guys want to talk about, let's talk about it. Let's start some dialogue. Let's go ahead and get you positioned in 2026 to move towards what your ultimate goals are. Okay, so with that being said, again, my name is Fred. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, comment below. If you want to reach out, shoot me an email. Fred@fredlivai.com. Fred at Fred Livai. So Levi is Liv as in Victor, AI.com. With that being said, appreciate you guys. Look forward to getting on this journey back with you guys. Talk soon.